Welcome back to the Unwracked Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Barry, and I'm joined by my co-host, Kyle Wilkes. Kyle, here we are, a couple days after the Olympia. You had a couple athletes in the show. Let's start right off with the top dog, Nick. How do you think it went with him?
So with Nick, I think the placing that we were hoping for wasn't the placing that we received, obviously. I think I made a video. I don't know if others listening to this had a chance to see it. You can check it out. It's on my Instagram. Kind of taking some accountability for some variables that could have been improved, I'd say. Mainly in terms of his look from Friday to Saturday. If you put them side by side, you'll see that you had a more sharp, polished physique on Saturday compared to the physique on Friday. Now, in terms of the overall placing, for those that aren't aware, Nick did place 6th, okay, so just out of the top 5. And yeah, obviously, I think, were we disappointed? Yeah, I mean, we definitely wanted to be better. But yeah, that's kind of where I'll start with it.
All right, so, I know a lot of people were talking about Nick being a potential guy that could win the show. And I want to know, what were you guys as a team? What were the expectations going into the show? Especially like that final, you guys were there in Vegas together a week out. Like, what were the expectations? What were you talking about?
I mean, the true expectations were, we were feeling pretty confident that if all things go as planned, we'd be in that final call out, right? That's always the goal, because if you're not in the final call out, then you're not in contention. So obviously we got first call out, and then once we weren't moved at all and we stuck on the outside, things kind of unravel. I think, people pointed out that Nick looked a little defeated, as anyone would be. Just like if you were a second call-out guy and you made first call-out, you're going to be fucking stoked, right? So my expectation is always we want to be in the call-out where we intend to be. If it's our first time, hey, first call-out is the goal. Wherever we land from there, cool. But that was the ultimate thing. So, when people are saying, hey, he was overconfident, I think anyone in that first call-out, from Derek, Hadi, Samson, Andrew, all of those guys, even Martin, right? He was in the first call out. They all believe they can win. That you should, because if you don't believe you can win, I don't know what the hell you're doing on a bodybuilding stage of that caliber. So even the guys that place 16th, I mean, maybe they don't think they can win, but they probably think, hey, I could be a top 10 guy, a top 5 guy. That should be the goal. So that was kind of the expectation, was to be in the final call out and pose our ass off and see where things lie.
Yeah. I mean, what we just talked about, the expectation going into the show, right? And it's all about outlook. If you're the guy that is, hoping to make a second or third call out, or just maybe top 10, and you make that first call out, you're elated. Your body language shows it. If you're a guy that's thinking, hey, I'm 1, 2, or 3 in the world, and you're stuck on the outside, yeah, you're going to have that demeanor change. It is hard to get it back, but I do want to point out, you guys came back a lot better on Saturday. So obviously something went off. There wasn't just this defeated attitude all weekend. Like, Nick was fighting. So tell me a little bit about that, about some of the adjustments with nutrition and whatnot. What went on with that?
So a lot of people, whether it's what we see on social media, which I always try to kind of turn a blind eye to, because you're always going to have people that are just saying things, whether it be for clickbait or just because they think they know what's going on the inside. But a lot of people, even listening to this, would probably say, hey, on Friday night, Nick was flat. Okay, cool. The reality is, how much I fed him on Saturday? 100 grams of carbs, okay? 100 grams of carbs is not going to fill out a monster of that size. So, again, most people are uninformed. They don't understand. Now, how can 100 grams of carbs take him from being flat on Friday to being great on Saturday? Answer is fluids. So what we did with manipulating fluids on Friday didn't land as needed. So when I made a video, for example, noting the fact that, hey, I take ownership for some of these variables that I didn't speak to in the 3-minute clip or whatever it was, water manipulation, how we're structuring the food, all of those things start to play a role in terms of leading up to the timing. Obviously, the shows at night, much different from what most people compete in the morning time. Even classic guys, prejudging in the morning, right? The only prejudging at night is for the Open, Mr. Olympia, and Arnold. Other than those 2 shows, I don't think any show has prejudging in the evening time, Yeah. So that was the main change there. And then also, I think a lot of people pointed out, which they were correct in their observation, the tan on Friday that sucked balls. It wasn't. He didn't know, his skin did not uptake the tan. He kind of just burns right through it. He didn't have enough glaze on Friday night. We also made that mistake in Pittsburgh, initially, and we corrected it before those final clouds in Pittsburgh. But yeah, that's the main thing, is the tan. So, making sure we prep our skin in the future, making sure we get more base coats, stuff like that is super important. I think, again, all these things matter. So even if what we brought Saturday night, which is what the goal would have been Friday night, and then typically in a perfect world, what you bring on Friday night, you improve upon for the next night. And most people always do get a little bit better for the most part, because of stress and all those shit, that's a different conversation. But because we didn't bring that on Friday night, there was really nothing we can do, So the main thing is, if you'd ask me, hey, if what you brought Saturday night was on Friday night instead, how do you think he would have placed? I think he would have placed better. I don't think that was going to win, because I think there's other measures at play, such as the tanning, and then you could even say, from a posing standpoint, hey, there are some adjustments I think we should have made. You'll see that we played with the front double. Now, the reason we played with the front double is because of the tan looking weird, of how he was hitting it at the time. It just, maybe it was stomach control. Again, maybe he felt a little defeated, but we just changed it and we said just pull up for prejudging Friday night. And then Saturday you saw the more traditional crunch down completely, to where we were doing this semi thing before, and it just wasn't making it pop like it did on Saturday night. So if you take the front double from Friday night, front double from Saturday night, you're going to be like, holy shit, this is like way different, right? And again, it's only been 24 hours.
Yeah, the tan is a kicker, right? Because you're in a hotel room, you're not tanned up. The athletes tanned up. They look really, really dark to you. You even have ring lights and stuff set up, so you're trying to simulate a stage lighting. You just don't know until they get backstage, or actually until they walk out on stage. You're like, shit, we should have done another coat.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. The only other shows I can think of that have a prejudging at night, there's a few bikini shows, right? And where I'm going with that is, it doesn't really matter in terms of the peak, right? You got a 265 to 280 pound male bursting with muscle versus a 115 pound female. What they look like in the morning is probably what they're going to look like towards the end of the evening. A guy, a lot of muscle, needs a lot of food, water manipulation, sodium, salt, all that stuff. There's a lot of things that can change from. There's a reason why an athlete looks so much better after they go to the gym and train. They got a little bit of water out of the interstitial space. They're tighter, drier. All right, so let's talk about the other guys in the top 5 real quick, just because, we could do a little quick Olympia recap and talk about, did you like the decision of Derek versus Hottie?
I'll tell you what, I think Derek, phenomenal physique. I thought on the first night, I arguably thought Hottie was a little bit better as the night was going on. I saw Hottie backstage, and when I first saw him, I was like, this is not the same Hottie I used to see, or at least I'm used to seeing as a fan, right? Because again, I'm a fan first before any of this shit happened. I like bodybuilding. I like looking at physiques. So all I can say is he started to pump up as he came out for his individual, as he came out for the comparisons. He just got harder and harder and harder. And if they kept posing, he was going to get better and better. Yeah. But it looked like after the first night, they had Derek in that favorable position. Mm-hmm. So nothing changed from the first night to the second night in terms of placing. In the top 8, everyone was exactly the same. So yeah. I don't really pay attention to the scorecards, because the scorecards didn't allow Martin to crack the top 4. They didn't allow Nick to crack the top 4, right? So in my opinion, I would have liked to have seen the actual first call-out be the first call-out again, to let those guys battle, because maybe there were some guys in the top 4 that could have slid down maybe and allowed Martin or Nick to slide in because they were improved, but no one changed anything. So, yeah.
Well, you mentioned guys sliding down, and here's a story that I feel like hasn't really been talked about online. We're talking about every other variable of the Olympia. How about Samson's slide? He was the incumbent, Olympia champion. A lot of people were expecting a better package out of him. I'm going to be honest, man. I was very underwhelmed with what I saw. And when he came back on Saturday, I thought he was going to slide down to the 6, and both Martin and Nick were going to move up. Like that's just the way I felt. He looked kind of lanky. He wasn't like super hard, tight, and dry. Leg size wasn't overwhelming in any aspect. The back double just had no pop to it. I don't think this was nearly his best look ever. I do think I think this was probably Martin's best look ever, for one thing. And while some of the other guys might have been close to their best look ever, I felt like this was a not very good look for Samson. And I'm just surprised more people aren't picking up on that story. What did you see in person?
In person, I think I think Samson, they tried to bring a different look, and I think a lot of the times people go off of feedback, they listen and they say, hey, what do we need to do to be better? And oftentimes, even when you win, man, the funny thing is we all we're human nature to be better. Hey, I won Mr. Olympia, how can I be better? And it's like, hey, if you come in a little leaner, and for him the unique thing was, again, people have to remember he won last year at the Olympia, but then he lost a few months later at the Arnold. So obviously at that point, it's like, shit, like what do I really need to do? Because I just lost and I just won a few months ago with the same guy competing against me. So I think they tried to bring a different look, and I don't want to say it backfired, but I think that look didn't translate the way the judges had thought it would, right? So if you were telling me, Andrew, hey, Kyle, like, I need you to come in tighter for this next show, and I say, okay, well, if I got to come in tighter, I mean, I'm going to be a little lighter, and, you know, these guys, Samson's 290, he's a big dude, right? So a little bit of weight drop, let's just say I'm going to drop 7-8 pounds. If it comes off the wrong place, it's not going to look the same, right? So, and depending on leading up, I remember I saw Samson. I think you had asked me on the podcast, like, I did Fua's podcast, and he had asked, what do you think of Samson, a 5 out? And I said, he looks pretty fucking good, you know, like that. He looks on point. Yeah. Now, hindsight's 20/20, so some people could say, hey, he looked better there. Again, the stage light's different. We see big wheels, you're not in person. But I think the look they tried to bring, yes, it wasn't as good as the year prior, but also the guys he went against were a little bit different. They're a little bit better. You mentioned Martin's best look. I wholeheartedly agree. Martin brought the conditioning. He's got a great structure. Again, that is someone that has a very high ceiling. If he plays his cards right, he continues to get better, which is cool to see when someone is consistently improving. Andrew, that was a great Andrew that we saw, right? Yeah. Arguably, again, the top 3 guys all were, I think, the fair 3 guys. I don't think I had Samson in those top 3 based on how they brought him in. Unfortunately, just those top 3 guys had a little bit more to them on that given night. I think Andrew arguably looked pretty good, and then I don't know if you saw the fuckery that was going on with the posing, but that definitely compromised his placing, in my opinion. Like, it was to the point where I think you probably heard on the stream, but Big Steve got on the mic and said, like, hey, like, this is not guest posing. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And it's comical, but at the same time, this is professional bodybuilding, right? This is not a guest posing, and you have the head judge having to, like, actually say that, like, is this going to be the ambassador? He doesn't listen. He's going to do his own thing. Yeah. No. So hey, you're now not in the top 2. You're 3rd. But that's the main thing. I think a lot of people brought their A game. No one was missing this year. There were no injuries. So God willing, we had a really competitive lineup, and a lot of people were bringing their best. And then, you know, some guys like Nick, Nick hasn't been on the stage, but someone like Samson, arguably wasn't at the best version that we have seen thus far.
Yeah. 2 things. The first point I want to make to listeners is when you're getting feedback from judges, right? Because you touched on something. When they're telling you something like, hey, we just want to see you fuller, or we want to see you tighter, or whatever that might be, whatever the word they use, right? Well, sometimes that might hurt your overall package, the overall look you're bringing. You know, if you're already let's say someone like me, tall, lanky, I don't have muscle abound, you know. If they were telling me to come in tighter, right, I'm sacrificing probably 5 to 7 pounds, which is going to make me look not like an open heavyweight bodybuilder, but more like maybe even a men's physique guy, you know, early circa 2005 or 2010, you know. So I think you got to take judges' feedback with a grain of salt, right?
And I also think, not to cut you off, but going back to the Fuller comment, it was like, that was like the most annoying. If you ask me what the most annoying thing of people chiming in is when they're saying, hey, Nick is flat. That was the most annoying fucking thing. I fed the dude so much he can't be flat. I knew what the issue was. I need time to fix the issue. So when a judge is like, he has to be fuller next time, you have to consider the judge is saying, hey, he appears to be flat. Now, the reality is you're observing something. That doesn't necessarily mean they know why he's flat.
Yeah.
Like I remember talking to Steve about another client in the past, and he's like, hey, I thought he was better at this show. He looked a little X to me. I don't know what you did differently. And in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I know what I did for that show. When I did for this show, I used maybe more diuretic, less water. I know what the changes were. It wasn't maybe food. And on the other hand, maybe sometimes it is food. So when someone's saying, when you're seeking feedback, you have to understand, like, fuller doesn't mean more food, right? Or sharper doesn't mean more diuretic or less water. You have to understand how to get to that. It's just, hey, this is what we're looking for. But when you start to play that game also, as you pointed out, Andrew, you can't constantly, like, chase something. You have to, because you can't abandon why you're great. If Nick, in a perfect world, Nick's structure, we would be able to make his quad sweep better, make his legs longer, have more of an X frame like the top 4 guys, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this is not fucking build a Barbie or build a bodybuilder, okay? So I can't do those things. Now we can try to, I don't know, chip away and sculpt the right physique to make him better, but we can change the posing, right? So those are things that we can do to present ourselves. But a lot of the times some people go into shows saying, okay, I'm going to be going against this guy. What do I need to do? And that's great. But if you're chasing something like striated glutes and it comes with losing size, well, that the person that we were awarded in the past is no longer that same person because they were chasing a body part. So that's like just food for thought. And I think a lot of people sometimes, I don't know, maybe don't think about that.
Well, I was going to say the other thing is that the majority of the judges that judge people in the NPC, and it's a little different now, but at least when I was really into it, coming up from 2000 through, let's say, the early 2017s, these judges had never been on stage themselves, meaning they'd never done a prep themselves. So they don't know what fat and full really is. They know what it looks like on a good guy on stage. And the other thing is they don't know what you're doing with your coach leading up to that prep. So when they say, like when someone says, oh, Nick was flat. It's like, really? Well, we fed him almost twice the amount of food that we normally do for peaks. So it's actually almost a physical impossibility that he's flat, unless he's running some kind of compound, some DNP or something that leading into a show that I didn't know about, which no athlete would ever do. So I just say take the judging feedback with a grain of salt. Understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, and as you said, most people aren't born with these blue chip perfect X frames. You're born with something, you make some progress, and then you get to the upper levels, and you got to chip away at it. You got to sculpt a little bit here and there, and just kind of piece away. With that said, how's Nick's mindset right now?
It's actually pretty good. Obviously Friday night, like I said, that I mean, how do you think you would feel, right? It's not what you desire. So even for me, I don't want to say I was more disappointed or upset. I definitely wasn't happy, right? It was just like, damn, like, I want to see my guys win no matter who they are. I want to put them in position to succeed. If there's something I can do a little bit better, I'm going to beat myself up about it. But the reality is, we don't have time to beat myself. we got to get back to work. So It was more of like, hey, what do I need to do to be better genuinely? And we can kind of assess things thereafter. And that's ultimately what we did, is we can fix the tan. We can't fix posing. It's not going to... You're doing what you're doing for the next weeks, right? It doesn't change overnight. And then I said, obviously, we need to be sharper. This is how we're going to get sharper. This is what we need to do. Let's just go and do it. So that's pretty much what we did. And he was good with it, we turned it around enough to where, again, I don't go off the fucking scorecard bullshit, because nothing changed, and somehow he was closer to Martin on Friday night, which makes absolutely no damn sense to anyone in the world. But anyway, he was good after that. It was just more of like, hey, let's start to game plan what we need to do to be better. And I think ultimately, we got sixth, and it wasn't his best. If that was his worst and he got sixth, like, cool, right?
Yeah. And I'd love to have that problem.
Yeah. So it's not such a, definitely not it's a first world problem, I guess, to the genetic elites. But as far as his mindset this week thus far, he's in a rather good headspace. There are some things circulating on social media that I'll bring up in regards to how he treats his fans. I don't know if you saw that.
He's one of the most loved guys. If there was a People's Champ Award, he would be winning it. you know. But what I heard something about someone was trying to start a rumor that he told a fan to F off or something like that.
Yeah, there's a younger teenager. I'm not sure his name, but I guess apparently he had an experience with Nick where he went up to a picture or tried to ask for an autograph. I'm not really sure. And Nick apparently said "fuck off." Now the weird thing is, again, full transparency, I was pretty much up Nick's ass all day Friday, all day Saturday. So pretty much walking hand in hand with him. I don't recall such an encounter. Now, being fully transparent, as we're walking into the show, because there's no private entrance that I was aware about. Again, it's my first rodeo, so I'm just doing what I know to do to get him into the show safely. Yeah. There were some people that just go right in his face, "Hey man, take a picture." Yeah. And he would try to pick and choose who, because once he says yes to one person, now you have parents saying, oh, hey, wait a second. And it's just like, hey, we need to get backstage. So there were a few stern no's, I will say, like, hey, after the show or at the gym, I'm training, right? But I think this specific individual said it was post-show. I don't know if that was Friday or Saturday. I can assume it was Friday, because Saturday we were in a much better headspace. Yeah. So I think it was Friday. I don't recall him saying "fuck off" because, again, if anything, with one thing about me, man, I protect people, right? I didn't have to go and make any video or throwing myself under the bus, but I'll do that for my team, or even if I just meet you. If I think you're a good person, cool, I'll take the bullet because I can handle it. I have 9 lives. I'm a cat, right? But I think if I heard him say "fuck off," I would have been like, no. That ain't cool. You need to do this. So it's surprising when I see something like that. So, we'll advise him on how to take care of it and make sure that we do the right thing. But that was a little frustrating because I don't even remember such an encounter. And all I can say is, again, he's the most popular guy, as you touched on, right? That was your words, not mine. And he took a lot of fucking pictures. And there's one thing, I think people at the meet and greet, there are a couple of pictures where he put up the middle finger based on the people asking him, hey, can we take a picture doing such a thing? Mm-hmm. Cool. That's why he did that. That was not insinuated with any kind of AI imagery where they delete the person and he's just giving the finger to a camera, okay? But again, I don't know. I'm someone that I do the things the PR way. I'm going to compare myself as a professional. So if I saw someone doing something wrong, even if it wasn't my client, if it was Derek, I would be like, hey, bro, I would go like that. Don't do that. Like that's gonna fuck your career up.
Yeah. So, think about it.
Yeah, man. So I don't know what that kind of nonsense is about. It's kind of, I'm not.
Well, I want to add, in what other major sport? Like, okay, you're Tom Brady going to his 7th Super Bowl. As a fan, you don't have access to him minutes before he's going out to the big field. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the whole system is set up in the athlete's favor with the Thursday night meet and greet where you're up later than you want to be, missing your potential perfect meal time, staying on your schedule, feet up, watching TV, whatever. And then I feel like it's just adding stress to have these athletes have to do this and that the whole week leading up to it, right? Yeah. And then to have so much access to fans, or fans so much access to the athletes, literally the minute before they walk backstage, which, okay, like you said, he gives a picture to one guy or any of these athletes, and then next thing you know, oh, I want a picture too. Oh, can you wait for my girlfriend? My girlfriend really loves you. She next thing you know, I'm 20 minutes late to getting backstage when my coach wants me to put my feet up and be mentally going through my posing, And
even Nick at the meet and greet, I cut the meet and greet off because I said, hey, man, we've been here a while. Your line is just growing. Like, we have to go. Like, we have a show to really focus on, and you've been here long enough. And he was one of the last ones there. When I walked backstage as we were leaving, there was somebody else in the top 4 sitting on the couch chilling, right? Hey, you're right. You should be relaxing. You should be done. You did your meet and greet and move the fuck on. Mm-hmm. But if anybody was in line listening to this and they're like, hey, like he just got up and left. Hey, I made him get up and leave because we were there for 2 hours, okay? Yeah. And other athletes, I look around, they're not there or they have no line, okay? So, no offense. Like, so I think the meet and greet from a schedule standpoint, I feel like you should put that on Sunday or something like that to where the athletes, hey, I understand. Again, the athletes should interact with fans. I think that's great for the sport. But the timing, make it earlier in the day if it's Thursday. Why are we doing it at night, right? Yeah. So
it's a lot to ask for someone before you're asking them to bring their very best of the year. It's a lot to ask. All right, so I did want to touch on something else that I was scrolling across the internet today. I take these little breaks time and time again, and I came across this post from I Am Sarah Vergars, who lost the Olympia. She got second place, and I'm sure everyone's seen it by now, but she was throwing heat at Natalia. And I got second place to someone who won the Oil Olympia. And she used the words OIL as trying to say that Natalia is just loaded up with synthol or some other body additive, which I think was just completely distasteful. I don't see anyone else that got second place throwing a tantrum like that, beating someone who is quote unquote their arch nemesis, because they've had some back and forth over the years. I think it's mostly started by Sarah, honestly. I just thought that was super distasteful. What did you think when you saw that?
Again, I think that she needs a PR team. Hey, I'll do some consulting for you if you're interested, but making statements like that, take that shit down. You sound stupid, right? Whether or not it's even true, okay? I don't care if it was so obvious that you could see lumps on the girl's arms, in which case she wouldn't win, right? Hadi had a problem in the past. It's, you don't speak in that fashion. You kind of just take the loss and you just shut your mouth and get back to work. And you congratulate the person, whether or not you hate the fucking person. Hey, congratulations, because that is what every single champion and popular athlete does, right? Losing sucks. Whether you got second or sixth like Nick, guess what? You lost. It doesn't really fucking matter, right? Like that. If you come to win, you lost. So losing is losing, and people try to justify it. Or in this case, she makes a post saying, accept how to lose. If you can accept to win, if you deserve to win, you also deserve to learn to lose. And then I think that comes full circle. So I don't know.
I just think back to all the times that Jay Cutler threw some heat at Ronnie Coleman. Oh wait, he didn't do that. He just got back to work the next day and said, "I'm going to beat that son of a bitch next year." And he congratulated him, gave him a hug, shook his hand, and then went right back to work the next day. But now moving on, you also had another athlete in the wellness division, Tiffany Sam. How do you think that went? Because I'll give you my first opinion, because I thought she looked great. I thought, compared to her appearance in the Olympia in the previous years, I thought this was it. And I was really surprised the judges didn't have her at least in the top 8 to 10. Right. Conditioning I thought was spot on. If you could make a complaint, okay, maybe they could say her upper body and her quads are a little bit overdeveloped. I don't know. I thought she looked like she was moving towards what they were looking for. But what's your take?
So I think we brought exactly what we wanted to bring, and what we brought won a pro show to get her there. I think the reality, especially with the wellness division, is other things that fit the criteria are, from a presentation standpoint, the makeup, all of those things that people were kind of getting on her about. But again, on one hand, we're looking at the physique. I don't care if the person is white, brown, black. What are we looking at? We're looking at the physique, and we're assessing it. I don't care if a person shaves their eyebrows. Like, what the fuck does that matter? But in this division, it doesn't matter. So I think that is something that impacts her. And then as far as from a structure standpoint, the reality is Tef has some of the best quads. Even the bodybuilders backstage, when I saw them, because I had the chance to be backstage, which was awesome in itself, but I saw all the competitors, and Tiffany's quads are like better than all of them. Like, fantastic insertions, they look fucking awesome. Smoke mine. So I think from a muscular standpoint, she just has too much mass, and like the only way she could fit the division, and I told her truthfully, is, hey, we need to downsize, right? Which means you'll never train quads again. I'm going to put you on the treadmill. We're going to burn some muscle off. And upper body, you already haven't trained for 7 months. Yeah, we're not going to train for another 7 months. And at what point do you just try to chase something that is just not meant to be, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, you are an athlete. You're trying to fit in a division. And unfortunately, like, the divisions look, you don't have a division. And that's where it's like weird. She's like a tweener to where... Yeah. Could she move to another division, such as like women's physique? Sure, but that comes with, other needs typically that are going to be required for her to kind of be at the top there. And I think that's where it's a decision on. I would never make someone do something, but again, as a coach, and I'm sure you're the same, your goal is to put people in position to succeed. And I know, hey, could we win pro shows? Yeah, but you're going to lose all of the reasons that I've learned that you love the gym and training. You're going to have to sacrifice all of them, because we can't get any bigger. You can't lunge because your quads are already arguably too developed compared to other girls. you have real mass in your glutes, whereas other girls, they walk and their fucking shit doesn't move. So I'll leave it at that. So it just, what are you supposed to do, right? If your clavicles are wide, you're a taller guy. You're never going to bench press 400 pounds like a little mini 5'2" guy can, because you have longer limbs than him, right? So it's like you play the cards you're dealt in life, and then you try to sometimes draw poker, exchange. But at what point it's like, hey, my cards they're not going to win this hand, no matter what I do here.
Yeah. So what is she thinking about, maybe continuing wellness and just saying, hey, I don't care if I ever win another show. I don't care if I go back to the Olympia. I like the way I train. I want to keep developing my physique. Or is she saying, you know what, I'm just going to train no matter what. And if I qualify for a show, if I want to do a show, I'll do one.
Yeah, I think right now, and I always try to give athletes a little bit of space post-show, but she's very in tune with, like, reality. She's a very realistic person, and, love her as a client. She does everything you'd ever want. And, the truth be told, it's like she loves training, right? And she has a pretty good name for herself, respectively, in the division as well. Her meet and greet, she had a pretty good line, I'll say, compared to other people in even guys' divisions. So she's known for having these freaky quads, and there's a lot of male bodybuilders that want to train with her. And I'm like, hey, you can't do that if we want to stay in wellness. So I don't think we're probably going to try to push her to get on stage. It's just more of, hey, let's pursue what you love. Mm-hmm. And if somehow division's criteria change, or we find ourselves able to fit into something where I think you can be successful, cool. Otherwise, I don't want to ruin the gym. This is your safe haven. This is what you enjoy to do. Mm-hmm. And, so that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it, because you're not cheating yourself. She understands the criteria, or any athlete, they understand the criteria. Okay, maybe I don't match it perfectly. I'm not going to give up my first love to match someone else's opinion of what my physique should look like.
And especially, the reality is, like, life goes by pretty quick, man. And what we do with our time is always most important, right? And if you're forever chasing something that doesn't really bring you happiness, and it doesn't bring you financial success, because as we get older, people are like, oh, I don't care about money. Well, you need money to do most things. So bodybuilding sometimes, especially for females, it doesn't really generate much.
There's also no 401k for bodybuilders.
No. So her thing is, she has a brand, she has a name, and I encourage her. Again, I'm very realistic. Make your money, make your brand. I'm not quite sure that fits with stepping on stage to do that.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. All right, well, let's switch topics. We got a couple people have been like dogging us for doing physique critiques, so I figured we'd do a couple today. Let me put these pictures up real quick. All right, so I'm going to apologize to this gentleman beforehand, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pronounce his name, but the first name's easy, Leo. And then I believe it's Shadovaz. And I don't think I can say it twice the same way, honestly. So we'll say Leo. This is Leo. He's from Georgia. Let me just pull up my notes on him real quick. Yeah, he's from Georgia, the country, that is. He's 26, just competed for the first time in an NPC Pro Qualifier here in Georgia, Tbilisi, where he placed third in the open light heavies. He's been trying to get on the show, trying to get, I think, both of our DMs. Sometimes they have people not blocked, but like if you don't know them or something, or they're from another country, it goes to the hidden folder thing. But anyway, he reached out to me on Facebook, and I happened to just check it one day. So I said, hey, we'll go over you, man. So 26 years old, light heavyweight bodybuilder. Let's see. First thing I could see is I would change some of the posing up. Like that most muscular, I feel like he's shrugging. I think you just relax those traps a little bit.
Yeah.
I got some other ones. Maybe we'll change this. Some side tricep variations. Nice delts. Nice arms.
Yeah.
Got his glutes in shape.
His feet are not in the right position for these back poses, so I think posing is going to be very helpful for him to present what he has here, because he's got good conditioning and a good structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. I think so many people overlook posing, and I'm not going to blame him because it's his first time, but because I still see it from guys that have competed in 15 shows and professionals even, and it's like you gotta hire the right person that's going to present you well on stage.
Yeah.
It's got a good physique.
Yeah, for 26, he looks. I wish I looked like that.
Yeah, I like that lat spread. Let's see, we got one more.
Chest looks good. Side
Yeah, I think we got the makings of a future 212 pro. You know what I'm saying? I think where he needs more muscle, more quad sweep, and I think the bigger one is also lats, more back development, actually back top to bottom.
Yeah.
Carries, lower back straps, just more. I mean, this is his first show. That's pretty wild. You know what's interesting, and I don't know if maybe this was a couple days after the show. You know how sometimes you get a sheen of water if you ate kind of decently.
Yeah.
He still has like pretty decent striation glutes, but then he just looks like he's lacking a little bit of detail in the shoulders. But then he's got some chest striations going on too, though. So it's kind of interesting the way the conditioning's working out. I don't know. Any other advice for him?
Don't miss your peak. No, I think he looks, for 26, if this is his first show, I think he looked phenomenal. I'd work on posing. That'll make you look even better. And I would encourage you to continue at this because I think you have the making of what it takes to be a professional and be a pretty damn good one.
Yeah, I agree. You said don't miss your peak, and it reminds me of something that, because you see these little monikers going around like never miss or like a bullseye with a little arrow in it or always hits or something like that, and it's like,
yeah,
that's such a lie, dude, because as a coach, I mean, you've prepped 1,000 people, I prepped 1,000 people. We're going to miss sometimes. It happens. It's like whether it's internal or external variables, whether it's athlete non-compliance sometimes, or sometimes you can't even figure what the fuck went wrong. You reverse engineer everything. You're like, all right, we did 3 shows or 4 shows this year. I did everything right, or everything the same that I did for the first 3, and we had win-win-win. I can't tell you what went wrong the 4th one.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Nobody bats 1,000, and I don't know. I'm all about, like I said, if I can take accountability for something, cool, man. Throw me under the bus. I'll survive.
Right.
Go from there.
Yeah. All right. Let me put up another one here. This
motherfucker tall.
He's tall. He's actually 6'1". This is Reese James. I don't know where he's from, but 6'1", 195 pounds, natural classic physique.
Wow.
Okay. He's a good natty.
Is he truly natty? Do we have some peptides in play?
Peptides and Clen.
Who knows, man? People say natty, and then I don't know. They discuss things, but I hope this gentleman. You said, where's he from?
It didn't say where he's from, so I'm gonna imagine because looking at the surroundings, I'm gonna say he's probably from Europe somewhere.
He's probably natural if he says he's natural. I trust Europeans when it comes to this.
Yeah, it's just those dirty Americans you don't trust.
Cheating fucks. Go
All
on.
right. I would say, understanding natural status and how the rate of development is obviously going to be a little bit slower, right, than it is for an assisted guy. I would say, okay, if he was 195 last time, if you could be 200 pounds at your next show, and you have some bigger arms, especially in that lat spread, some more quad sweep, and a little bit more lat development, I think it's going to go do wonders for you. Good physique, though. It's
No, for natural, I think conditioning-wise, for natural, awesome conditioning, right?
yeah.
I'm not here to nitpick. I think the reality is, if just continue, you say he's 6'1", right?
6'1", yeah.
So when you're 6'1", you're always going to look like you need more muscle until you don't, which is rare. But I think continuing to bring up his legs, his hamstrings, his chest looks pretty good, ultimately, in those side chests, for example.
Yeah.
Obviously, upper chest, maybe the shoulders, arms need to get bigger, but I wouldn't say he's like imbalanced, which is good,
I would say balance is almost his best trait right here. Like he's, what's the word? Svelte. Does that sound like a good adjective?
Yeah.
Like very, I don't know, aerodynamic and very. And I'm not taking shots. It's a very clean look. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's a very clean look. Good triceps. Look at the tricep shot.
No, not bad at all. Like I said, I think he just needs to put a little bit more size on throughout. And that's really it, man. Be patient, but he has a good physique, especially for a taller fellow.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if he put his age. There's no age here, but if I were to put an age to him, let's say you're mid-20s to 30, something like that. Yeah, you definitely got time to continue to develop your physique. So, all right, we got one more today.
Okay.
One more. I'm going to let you break this one down because this is actually one of my young clients.
So let's ruin him.
Yeah, right. He's here for it. He wants people to be brutally honest with him. This kid, his name's Ethan Wiley. He lives on the West Coast in Canada, and he's a hard worker. He reminds me a lot of myself. Where if you hire a coach, he does exactly what you say. You know, when I hired Dante Trudell the first time, I read the plan he sent me 6 times before I just started, using it. I wanted to make sure I had every detail down, everything measured to a gram. So that's this kid right here. He's 18 years old. He's been bodybuilding for I think 2 or 3 years now. And the other thing is he's intelligent. He's not trying to get on stage before he should.
Okay. So taking a look at this, obviously younger, doesn't really have a ton of muscle by any means, right?
Yep.
I don't look at this and say he's imbalanced, which is a good thing. Muscle throughout. I think from the back, his back is better than his front in terms of just how he stores body fat, coupled with the development. I can see his lats, which is cool. Chest, obviously an area that I would say, hey, shoulders look a little bit more impressive than your chest, so probably some pressing movements you have done in the past have, maybe have contributing factors of your shoulders being involved a little bit more so. But yeah, that's the main thing. He's 18, right? So
yeah, he's 5'9", 168 as well.
Okay, so it's not like clearly he needs more muscle, right? 5'9", 160.
Yep.
That's pretty good. He's not fat. Most 17, 18, 19-year-olds, they have that like baby fat on them to where they don't have
Yep.
They don't even have like details, but you can see here, even though the light washes him out a little bit, you can see his serratus a little bit. Right on the left, you can see his quads. You can see a little bit of separation, which are all good things. And in his arms, in the side chest, we can see something there. So it's just, for him, it's going to be a timing thing, right? If you really want this, you're going to have to put, I think if you put a good 2 years of truly trying to bodybuild, you get yourself to probably like mid-180s of lean tissue. I think is very, very feasible and a good goal to have. But you tell me, what conversations have you had with him? Like, what is your, how long have you been working with him? Like, how much has he progressed? Stuff like that.
Let me see. So he sent us this September, and here we are 2 months later, right? So I guess I've been holding on to this one for a little while, accidentally. Sorry, Ethan. So no, he was working with someone else before, and I think they made good progress. He was in the middle of a cut, and then I took over, and we cut for another 4 weeks, and then we wanted to get him super insulin sensitive. Right now, I think he's probably 12 to 14 pounds heavier, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have his file open right now, but really focusing on progressing, obviously, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. You said, okay, maybe 2 years from now, get on stage. I think the plan we have set is about 18 months from now. So in that ballpark, and I think he understands the process. He understands, okay, I'll do a show in a year and a half. I'll put my best on paper, and regardless of the outcome, that's not going to make him want or not want to do bodybuilding. Like he's in this for he wants to make a career out of this in some way, shape, or form. He sends me messages all the time asking if there's anything he can do for me, in terms of my coaching business or things that maybe resources I could send his way, because I think he would like to learn the online coaching game and would like to someday work with the people himself. So, and at the same time, I want to point out he does have a real job, and he's not just quitting life. I'm going to try to be an influencer, a content creator, and just coach people. He's got a career path lined up ahead of him, and he understands. Kind of like you, Kyle. I mean, you had a corporate job for what? How many years before you went full time?
8 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the bread and butter, man. That's the state. That's the. I don't know. People should do that. I don't know.
My advice to people is always, when you start making twice from your side hustle as you do from your day job, that's when you know it's time to switch to the side hustle as your primary. But yeah, so that's the plan for Ethan. Any other words of advice for him?
No, just stick at it, continue to learn, and then also be consistent. Right? You don't have to change up your training weekly. Progressive overload, the basics. Bodybuilding is not that complex. Everyone's trying to find the shorter route, but ultimately, when you look back, most physiques that are well developed, if you ask them how long they've been training or dieting or whatever, they'll probably say like a decade, and it's just like, hey, okay, over 10 years they've been getting something. So why do I feel I just decided last October 15th that I want to bodybuild and I don't look like Nick or Andrew? Okay, you're not supposed to, and if you
not
did,
me, not
great.
Nick.
Well,
I'm not a good example.
Not even a great example either, obviously, for unrealistic purposes.
True.
But
actually, I would be a better example than Nick in that scenario there. I mean, the other thing, both of us, it took us over 10 years of competing before we even won overalls.
Yeah.
We're taller guys. To put the muscle on it, that's what it takes.
It does. You have to be patient. So, I mean, you're 18. You're way ahead. If I showed you how I looked at 18, not that I'm impressive to any standard, but I think I accrued a good amount of tissue over my career. You're way ahead of me, so who knows where you can be.
What did 18-year-old Kyle look like? Were you shredded all the time then too, or what'd you look like?
I was a fat fucking soft blob.
Fat by Kyle standards or fat?
No, I was pretty fat. No, Kyle standards, I would myself.
Yeah. We can't say that. We're gonna have to edit that out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kyle standards, I think about life.
Yeah.
Like say that. That's safe to say, right?
Yeah.
But no, I'll show you a picture sometime. We could pop it up. Maybe in the next podcast we can do a physique critique, and you won't know who it is, and it's like, hey, that's me.
Dude, actually, that gives me an idea. What about our first bodybuilding shows? We could pull up our pictures from our first bodybuilding shows. Let us know in the comments if you'd be interested to see young Andrew, young Kyle doing our first bodybuilding shows. If there's no interest in it, we'll scrap the idea. If there is, we'll definitely we'll run it. What's up for you this week?
This week I have a client in town. He flew from the UK to Vegas. Now he flew here to Jersey, Jack Eagles. So he's a high-level competitor. He's a pro. He's very good. So I'm with him today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. I got to fly down to Tampa on Friday for the Hurricane Pro. I have James English competing. It's his first pro show, pro debut. Looks like I'll have some stellar competition. There's 2 Olympians in place, I think 6th and 10th, and Justin and Matt, respectively.
Yeah.
So those are some good guys. So the goal, stand next to them, see how you stack up, right? That'd be a great. That's a realistic goal if you're asking me from a coach's perspective. Like, hey, let's be next to them somehow, and then I'll try to fly home, man. It's just one thing after another, man.
How many days are you down here for?
I'm trying to get in a day. If I can take a red eye Saturday night, I will. If I have to get out Sunday morning, I will. I have obligations here midday on Sunday, so I got to try to do what I can.
Nice.
What about you? What do you got going on?
I'll see you at the show. I've got 2 amateurs in the classic. I had a pro, but sometimes the season just gets a little long for some people, and they have to make the decision best for their mental health and their finances and pull it out. So,
gotcha.
So I had Logan Guthrie, but he got 4th place at the Florida Pro about a month and a half ago. The season just kind of winded down a little too long. So yeah, we agreed it was smart for him to pull out. His head wasn't 100% in it, and get him ready for 2027. So
cool.
So yeah, man. All right, guys. Well, for today, that is Unwracked. Please give us a like, subscribe, share the podcast with your friends. Leave us some comments and let us know topics and issues you want us to talk about, and we will satisfy. With that, we're Unwracked. Thanks.